In this module, we will study the next phylum, which is Cnidaria. Before going into the detail of phylum Cnidaria, we will first look into the phenomena or organisms which are known as eumetazoans. Eumetazoans are actually those animals which have a true tissue organization in them, and they have two body layers during their embryonic development. The outer body layer is known as ectoderm, and it forms epidermal cells in the nervous system, while the inner layer is known as endoderm, and it forms a digestive system, while the middle layer is known as mesoglea, and it forms muscles in these organisms. In addition, eumetazoans also have developed proper symmetry in them, and due to this fact they have been subdivided into two groups. Number one is grade radiata, which include organisms with radial symmetry, while number two is grade bilatera, which include organisms with bilateral symmetry in them. So these cnidarians are radially symmetrical, and they are included into grade radiata, and they are diploblastic in organization. They are mostly marine in their habitat, while there are some species which are freshwater inhabitants. And about their size, they range in size from microscopic hydra to macroscopic branchiocerinths, which may reach up to 2 meters in length. And about their locomotion, there are some species which are sessile, for example sea anemone, and there are some species which are free living, like example is that of a jellyfish. And then there are some species which are colonial, for example Physalia species. And then there is a phenomena which is called polymorphism. It is present in these cnidarians, and it is actually the phenomena that there are two body forms present among these cnidarians. Number one is that of polyps. They are cylindrical in shape, and they are nutritive in function. And then there is medusa form, and they are mostly reproductive in function, since they have gonads in them. You can see the body forms of cnidarian here. This is actually the polyp form, and we can see here that this is the mouth or the anus, and then there is tentacle, and we can see the gastrovascular cavity, and this layer is known as mesoglea, and then there is outer layer which is known as epidermis. Same is the structure of that of medusa, and we can see that it is umbrella shaped. And then we can see that there are cnidocytes present in phylum Cnidarian, and actually they are named Cnidarian because of the fact that these animals have special cells which are called as cnidocytes, and they also give rise to cells which are known as nematocysts, which are stinging cells, and it is the characteristic feature of this group. Actually, the mouth is surrounded by the tentacles, and when we take the section of the tentacle, we can see that these bear stinging cells or nematocysts, and which are organs of defense, and the tentacles and the body contain obviously these nematocysts, and the hydra use nematocysts to spare prey and then draw the wounded prey back to the hydra. So ये जो nematocyst होते हैं ये शिकार करने के लिए use करते हैं, and the action of these nematocysts or this whole structure is very fast, and it is at such velocity that it can penetrate the hard shell of a crustacean too. So when they जब ये शिकार कर लेते हैं तो फिर ये food को digestive tract में shift कर देते हैं, and then we can see that it is digested and then it is distributed by diffusion. We can see in number one step is digestive enzymes are released, and then food particles are broken, and food particles are engulfed and digested. And then we can see the nervous system, which is in the form of neuron cells forming an irregular net in the body, and there is no central nervous system, as we can see here in this diagram. To see the nerve net, we can have a close look here. We can see that these are the nerve net. And about their reproduction, these cnidarians or coelentrates, they reproduce by asexual as well as sexual means. Hydra reproduces asexually by the formation of buds on their surface, and the buds after some time separate from the parent and then develop into a new individual. And then we can see that the life cycle of coelentrate is characterized by the presence of alternation of generation. Actually, there are two generations. One reproduces by sexual mean and the other reproduced by asexual mean. And often these two generations consist of one free living form and one attached stage. Therefore, asexual generation and the sexual generation alternate with one another, and thereby it is known as alternation of generation. In obelia, there is asexual as well as sexual reproduction, and it has a kind of zooid which is known as blastostyle, and it gives rise to individual zooids which are called as medusa, which are known as medusa bud, and they reproduce or produce medusa by asexual method, and the medusa when released in the water develops reproductive organs. We can see here the gonads are being formed, and then when they unite, they form zygote, and from where the obelia colony is formed again. We can see here after the formation of a zygote, this develops into mature polyp, and then a colony is formed. Then there is a interesting fact about these cnidarians, that they form coral reefs. Coral reefs are actually diverse underwater ecosystem, and they are held together by calcium carbonate. And corals are formed from secretions which are produced by specialized polyps, and these are present in certain coelentrates. So these polyps become covered by stony cups due to hardening of their secretions, and from mouth of stony cup, polyp can pass out its tentacle for the purpose of feeding and withdraw itself when it is not feeding. So ये coral reefs जो हैं वो calcium carbonate से बनते हैं, and inside these hard stony shells polyps present हैं या living form present होती हैं, और जब इन्हें feeding का process करना होता है तो they can prop out. The example of cnidarian include hydra, which is a freshwater organism, and then there is a example which is known as obelia. It consists mostly of a polyp form and it is colonial. And then there is example of a free living form which is a jellyfish, or scientifically it is known as Aurelia, and it is mostly medusa in body form. And then there is an example of a madrepora, which are commonly known as corals.